I know that when you are going on a spiritual journey, I know that it can seem very lonely. Your eyes are opening up to the world in a different way, and that's why it's called a spiritual awakening, because you are I like to use the analogy just like school. For instance, I was brought up in the church, and so I look at the church foundation as um, kind of like kindergarten through 12th grade, but I look at my spiritual awakening as going on to college, or even getting a master's degree or a PhD, a life mastery degree, if you will. So you have to understand when you are on a spiritual journey that everybody is in a different grade. We are all living in this universe, um, and we are all different. And tradition puts us in one frame of mind where tradition puts it in a box. And for me, my spiritual journey was just a deeper, a desire to know more, because it was presented to me by God. And here's my story. So in 1998, my maternal grandmother, passed away. And my mother and I were in the house that we lived in together, not with my grandmother. She lived in her own house. But my mother and I were sitting on the edge of her bed, and all of a sudden, I began to have a supernatural experience. And that is not my first supernatural experience. I'll tell you about that after I tell you about this one. But that was my first supernatural experience. Um, what I was smelling, it smelled as if my grandmother had a couple of 7-Up pound cakes in the oven. But here's the thing, my grandmother didn't live there, and she passed away the month before. So, knowing that something supernatural was happening to me, I didn't want to mess it up. So, I was very careful in how I worded it to my mother. I said, "Do you smell something?" And my mom said, "Yeah, it smells like Mama's pound cakes." And in that moment, I said, "Okay, God." Rem White ain't say nothing about when my grandma died I was gonna smell her pound cake. I never heard nothing about smelling dead people stuff, or seeing dead people, feeling dead people. None of that. My All I knew about death was, you know, when you die, if you believe, if you're a Christian, if you've been saved, then you go to heaven when you die. I did not know that God could use the death of my loved one to bring me closer, to bring me higher, to raise my vibration. And so I said, "Okay, God, I need you to teach me you in a way that I can understand." I've been to Sunday school, I've been to vacation Bible school, I've been to Bible study, I've been to church, I've been to it all. I've been to revival, I've been to all of it, okay? I want to know you from your mouth directly. I want to know you. I want you to teach me you. So that was my first time, really. No, it's really not the first time, okay? But that was the time that it just was like, wait a minute. It was a time where it could not be ignored. So um, there began my spiritual journey. The first place I started was life after death. And then, I kept thinking, well, um, there has to be something beyond the physical. And that's what metaphysical means. It means beyond the physical. And so this path, this journey, it can be very lonely because you be wanting to bounce ideas and thoughts and revelations off of the people in your life, in your circle, and they are not yet on that path. They may never be on that path. You might be the only one. I mean, as far as I know, from growing up, I'm the only one. I'm the only one. So it it certainly felt lonely. But at the same time, I was too much in awe oh, there is no juice in that right there. I just turned my car off. I'm just turn that whole thing back on. Just let the battery um, charge my phone. But there is no companionship because it's like, if you're traveling on a road and everybody else is traveling on that road. This reminds me of a book that I read by Shirley MacLaine. I can't even think of the name of the book, but Shirley MacLaine is very spiritual. The actress, her book, I can't remember the name of it, but it was one of the first books I read. And it's like you're on this path. Everybody that you know, you're all on this same path. It's just the regular. It's the generic path. It's the path of tradition. It's the one that everybody's on, depending on what type of spiritual beliefs you were born into. That's the path you're on. So those the people in your circle. But then you come to a point where you know that there is something more, and you feel pulled to it. You feel a calling because let me tell you something. We are electromagnetic beings. That means we are magnets. Our energy is magnetic. And so the universe is magnetic. The universe, who is God, from my understanding, from God's revelation to me about herself, because she's also revealed to me in the feminine. Um, and many people may not agree with that or understand that, and that's fine. I'm not here to convince anyone. I am just being truthful to myself. I am not going to shrink back because I am afraid of what other people think. I have done that for far too long, and it is at this point in my life where I have to answer my calling. And my calling is into metaphysical ministry, if you will, um, metaphysical guidance and coaching and teaching and support, assistance, if you will. Because there are so many people on this journey, and they are made to feel like they're crazy by the people that are on the different path, because this is what happens. You're on this path, you're on this road, and then there comes a fork in the road, and everybody is here, but you're coming along here and you do this. There's a separation there. They are still there. Yes, you still have access to them, but if you turn that way, that's a vibration, and that's a vibration. Just like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. The do, the do and the re, they can coexist, but they can never know each other, if you understand what I mean. I mean, the do don't know what it's like to be the re, and the re don't know what it's like to be the do. But the re comes from the do. Or maybe not. but you definitely have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I like to teach with music because the vibrations are musical. Music is vibration. Um, and or if you will use the analogy of a radio station, you can't turn to the country station and hear jazz. Jazz music is played on the jazz station, generally speaking. And I'm talking about old school radio. Um, you're not gonna turn on the R&B station and hear hard rock. You're not gonna turn on the gospel station and hear heavy metal. Um, and so that is basically what I'm saying. So what I do is, my name is Michelle, and I assist just by being a listening ear, someone that you can run thoughts by, someone that you can talk to without ostracizing, um, without sacrificing or damaging your personal relationships, without getting into arguments about with people about what you know and what they think they know, or what they know, because what they know is true for them and what you know is true for you. So I'm here to offer services. I'm not a counselor. um, I am just a spiritual teacher, someone that can help you in your meditation practice, someone that can help you with a discernment, um, not someone to judge you or to spoon feed you or force feed you, because here's the thing: the universe teaches you what you're ready to know. That is a big truck. My goodness. What is that? A Chevrolet FX4. Damn, that thing is big. This truck just pulled up now. Show you how big this truck is. Okay, it's huge. Okay, not that I'm trying to film other people, but my goodness, that's a big truck. So yeah, that's what I'm offering. Um, my sessions are 1 hour or 30 minutes. Your first session will be an hour. Um, 1 hour session is $88. 30-minute session is $44. You have to book your session by texting me. We'll communicate through text, and figure out a day and time for your appointment, and you will pay for your appointment at that time, or um, I like to be fair, okay? So, um, at least you will at least pay a 50% deposit to book your appointment, and right before your appointment, you will pay the balance um, of your appointment, and there's that. And we can talk about all things energy, spiritual. Again, I am not a counselor. I'm not somebody you call when you having an emotional meltdown or crisis. You need to call 911. You need to get you some professional help if you are having mental health challenges. Seek medical attention. I am positioning myself as a spiritual friend. A spiritual friend, someone that you can um, talk to along your journey, because more than likely I've been there. I've been 1998, what is that? 2008, 18. It's been almost 30 years, 28 years I have been on this journey. I said I was going to tell you about my first encounter with spirit. I was about 9 years old. I was sleeping in my bed. I felt something tap me on the foot. I opened my eyes. There was this man sitting at the foot of my bed, and his eyes were glowing gold. He had on a hat and a button-down shirt, and it scared me so bad, I pulled the cover over my head. And when I ran out of air and pulled the cover back to look again, he was gone. I got up. I looked all through the little one-bedroom kitchen, living room, bathroom apartment that me and my mom shared. All the windows were locked. The doors were locked. The chain was on the door. And I was like, I believe it was my grandfather, my mother's father. Whenever you see my head doing like that, that is the universe concurring, saying yes. So that was the first time I saw. Now, am I like John Edward or Sylvia Brown and I see people? No, but I can perceive people that are that have passed on. I can feel them. Um, just today, I was at the doctor's office, so I have a little bit of a sinus infection, and I was sitting there on the table, and I could feel my mom in the chair right across, just sitting there looking at me, like, because she was always worried about me whenever, um, she was always scared something would happen to me, like, because I'm her only child, and I could feel her there, and I could feel tears. Um, I don't know if they were my tears or if they were her tears, um, but I knew she was there. And so, a lot of us have these experiences, and when we talk to other people about them that may have not had these experiences, you run the risk of being called crazy. Um, they'd be like, "Girl, what you been smoking?" And you know, you won't get that with me because I totally, totally understand. And um, grief is often the number one invitation into the higher realms, the higher vibration. So, yeah, that's all I got to say. I'm going to place my little flyer at the end of this video, and I hope you have a great one. Bye.